loading in. Okay, we are on Facky Book.
Ooh. Oh, we are now streaming live on Facebook. All right. So thank you for hosting me, Connor. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for, putting on WinchesterFest for us. Do I just get right into it?
Just give people a chance to get into the stream.
Okay. So what will I do meanwhile? Do we just chat?
I thought you were going to start off with readings.
Yeah, shall I start with the reading?
Yeah, it gives people a chance to filter in.
So what I thought I would do before we start the workshop is I would read 2 poems that I have written that were a result of practicing kind of activity similar to what we'll do in the workshop. So one of them is practicing the dramatic, and one of them is practicing like a list poem where you try to use lots of different metaphors and similes instead of being really direct about what you're talking about. So I'm going to start with the dramatic poem, which is about a situation looked at from 3 different viewpoints, and it's called E, Come Home. Nick grew up in the countryside, but he hasn't been home since he was 17. Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your old bedroom grows dusty, trapped in time without remorse? Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your mother weeps for you to come home? Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your brother can't stop thinking about you? Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your mother suffers a constant dull ache because of you? Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your brother thinks of you less often now? Does it hurt? Hurt to know that your grandfather is terrified to take his last breath in case he misses you coming home? Please just call to give him peace. Mary is Nick's mother. She hasn't heard from him for almost 15 years. Nick was the oldest of 2 brothers. Every day I sit, I wonder if you're at peace or wandering, like a lost sheep on a precarious hillside. I sent the dog to search for you, a ragged scrap from an old t-shirt. Everywhere we go, we wonder if you're at peace or wandering. I look at old photos. You're smiling in the bathtub, scowling at your brother, skipping down the beach. You love the beach so much, the way the grains of sand chiseled your skin. So different to life in London. Every day I sit and I wonder if you're at peace, at peace, at peace. Tom is Nick's younger brother. He often talks to his friend Alice about Nick, but the talks have started to become less frequent now, at least the ones about Nick. Nick, come home. I told him about grandfather. I told him how he was ill. I used to send him messages every day about it. How he was afraid to die without saying goodbye. How we were afraid for him. How we were afraid to say goodbye. Nick, come home. Didn't want this to be the end. I started writing less, not knowing who he was or is now, or how to relate anymore. Some messages I started drafting, but I deleted the words. Sometimes before I'd even type them, they'd say, Nick, please come home. But now, I'm not sure if he'd call it that, or who Nick even was. I'd say, come home, but now I'd say, find peace with yourself. So thank you for listening. That was the first poem, which was practicing the dramatic. We had 15 minutes. We had to write about a situation from 3 different viewpoints, and we had 5 minutes to write each viewpoint. And the other one I would like to share. Is the one called, well, it's a list poem. It's about love. I actually did, Rupi Kaur was hosting an online workshop via Instagram the other day And I'm not a massive fan of Rupi Kaur, I'll be honest, but I thought might as well give it a go, see how it goes. And actually I got quite a lot done. And one of them was a list poem, which mine is about love. 1, the way your daily routine isn't your first thought anymore. 2, surprise encounters when you least expect them. 3, the way you know that you're glad you held on. 4, someone diving under the seat cushion to find your seatbelt buckle. 5, the way you wake up with your lips in a smile. 6, someone diving under the duvet with you long past the 11 a.m. alarm. 7, surprise caresses from impalpable warm feelings. 8, someone making sure you haven't missed a meal again. 9, the way you start singing without caring who hears you. 10, what we have when there is nothing else. Connor, would you like me to read any more, or shall we dive into the workshop? They were the 2 that I had prepared, but I'm happy to read more if you'd like.
If you want to do another one, just give people a chance to join in. It's only been 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to, basically this notebook that I'm reading from has all my kind of first drafts in, and when I do free writes, I try not to kind of edit and just do a stream of consciousness. And this is one I wrote about 2 days ago called Pamphlets. My Nana has a collection of pamphlets, not poetry or tourism, but order of services from funerals. I guess you could call them poetry. They sit sullenly in the top drawer of a chest of drawers in her bedroom, about a metre to the right of her bed. I hear them. Their spines pulsate loudly, as if a heart in Nervosa. I don't know how she can sleep so close to them, all that noise. But then they don't speak. They don't speak to me. A smorgasbord of names, a choir of voices, like a tube station at rush hour. Sometimes I sit on her bed and I look at the drawer, the top drawer, and I wonder why they have been given such pride of place, like somehow things increase in value after they've gone, because only then do you realize the simple truth of emphorality. What else do I have in this notebook? I've noticed also, I went to a writing retreat a few weeks ago, and what came up a lot was loss. So basically, pretty much all the poems in this notebook are really sad. So I'm trying to find ones that aren't, you know, too sad. Okay. So this one is called Crows. Rain patterns adorn frosted glass, clawing at the globules hungrily. I see him, crow, lone crow, wearing a coat of licorice pinwheels and clunky Clark's school shoes. He puffs his chest, triangles from geometry equations crossing at intersections. He waits. Crow becomes crows, no longer lone crow, so familiar, but yet they are strangers. Maybe that's why they are strangers. Feathers wet with raindrops which feel like velvet, velvet tank tops, sleek lycra and silicious leg warmers. Their eyes meet. Acknowledgement. Their existence a forced partnership between admiration and resentment. Helicopter blades splicing the air, rapid flutters of rivalry disguised as natural order. It wasn't always this way. Or maybe it was. Maybe it had always been this way. Crows. Fighting over calls for affection and misplaced family dynamics. The rain gave way to frosted glass and conversations. Conversations with pauses which lasted years. Skeleton letters detailing weddings, a birth, a graduation. Social milestones deemed important enough to mention. Nothing except snapshot calendars and a meeting, deciding where to bury her. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Kestrel, and I'm going to be hosting a workshop for you today. We're going to be doing 4 activities. I decided that it would be quite nice maybe to explore sort of different types of poetry, because recently I've been trying to get out of my comfort zone. So for activity 1, I'd like us to practice writing prose. So like the dramatic poem that I just performed, 3 perspectives or monologues on the same situation. If you need help deciding what to write about, I chose a memory from childhood to help me. So you're going to choose a situation. You can make notes for each character about how they feel about the situation. So we'll have 5 minutes to make a bit of a plan, and then 5 minutes to write each character. So this activity will take 20 minutes in total. So the time now, by my watch, is 11 minutes past 2. So we'll have 5 minutes to make a brief plan on your situation and your characters. And then we will have 15 minutes to write 5 minutes for each character. Okay. So your 5 minutes to plan starts now. Okay, you have 1 more minute to finish your plans before we start the activity, okay? Okay, so the time now is 16 minutes past. We're going to have 5 minutes to write about 1 character. I would recommend maybe doing a general narrative and then doing 2 that are specifically from specific characters, but you obviously are free to choose. So your timer starts now. You have 5 minutes to write 1 character. What I've noticed while I've been living in Spain actually is seeing how different countries have been coping with the crisis, and I'm actually really excited about how the poetry community has come together and how many events are going live, how many virtual museum tours are free, plays are being streamed, all that great stuff. And actually it's been really, really good because I find that it's been very difficult. So in Spain, we've been in quarantine for 2 weeks at the moment. It's about just over 2 weeks. And it's very, very strict here. So we're only allowed outside once a week if we're going to the supermarket. So I actually haven't been outside my apartment block for about a week and a half. And the poetry community is what I found has really helped me stay afloat, because it's very easy, especially because I've been really lucky. I've been able to work from home. I've been spending all of my time in my bedroom, and that's been quite hard going. And so I've been really, really, really thankful to the wonderful poetry community, to Connor Sansby of Whisky Beards for putting on WinchesterFest. I've seen lots of videos from what people have been up to during the festival so far, and it's been amazing. I've been watching lots of videos that people have uploaded to Facebook, and just, yeah, in times of crisis, it's where you see the art community really pull together to help get everybody through. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say how thankful I am to be a part of it. So for those writing, you're at your halfway mark. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. So for those of you who don't know a lot about me, I'm a poet and an artist. I'm originally from Cornwall, but I'm currently living in Andalusia in Spain. What else can I say? At the minute, I teach English as a second language. I teach a range of age groups. I have classes that are 9 and 10 years old, classes that are 11 and 12, classes that are 15 and 16, and then I have 1 adult class. And yeah, so it's an interesting time. So we've been teaching online now for about 2 weeks, and so far it seems to be going well. So yeah, this is a free write exercise. So I want you to just write what comes into your head. Don't worry about trying to edit as you write. Don't worry if you think, oh, this is going to sound silly. whatever comes into your mind is what I want you to write. Okay, this is meant to be relaxing. Try not to think too much. Just let your pen take you, or your pencil take you wherever it wants to take you. Okay. We have 1 more minute and then we'll move on to our next character. So the way the dramatic works is it ends up being kind of, it's a poem, but it's also sort of like a short play. So 3 monologues on the same situation. So it's sort of a screenshot, a little snapshot from a play. And yeah, I think it's really good at encouraging you to try and look at situations from different perspectives. And when I wrote my narrative, there's our timer. Okay, so I would like you to move on now to your second character. We'll have 5 minutes. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in our Q&A. I've recently been exploring more prose poetry, and I would recommend to anyone, if you're feeling a bit stuck, which I had been in 2020, trying different styles of writing. I'd never thought to write a dramatic before. I'd never thought to write like a play style poem, but actually when I sat down in the workshops that we had at the Arvon retreat, it really encouraged me to get out of my comfort zone. So hopefully you'll get a lot of good stuff out of this exercise too. Another good tip for writing a dramatic is to try and have a different style of speaking, a different style of poem for each character. So on the page, you can easily see the shift in voices. So for example, repetition maybe in one of the characters, or disjointed lines, or just different subtle ways of showing that you're talking about a different character. Okay, so I've just been asked, is there a limit for stanzas? And the answer to that is no, it's a free write. So the idea is just to write as much as possible within the time. So how I would recommend laying out a dramatic on the page is to have 1 character per page. So then that way, when people read it, they can see which character you're talking about. And for those that missed it earlier, what I would also recommend is just 2 or 3 lines at the beginning of each page, which are sort of like stage directions, and you're just explaining. So for example, Nick is Mary's brother. Nick hasn't seen Mary for 15 years. So just a little, very tiny description about the character. Okay, so your time is up for that character. I would like us now, please, we're going to move on to your third character, so your next character. And it's now 27 minutes past. We'll have 5 more minutes starting now. What I've really enjoyed recently is seeing some poets perform. I was seeing lots of poets perform from their bedrooms, and it's interesting actually, because it's made the whole poetry scene more intimate, really, because I mean, except in a pandemic, when else would you perform from your bedroom and show your bedroom to, you know, however many people are watching you? So yeah, it's been an interesting experience, and one that I found has been really exciting to actually teach my children. They're so excited. They come on to Zoom for their class and they see their friends and they're so excited to see them. And I think, yeah, I want to say, you know, a massive thank you to everyone who is managing to teach online, because I know I've had so many lovely messages from the parents who have said how much they've appreciated it and how much it's like the highlight of their kids' day, because they get to see all their friends and have like an element of sort of normal routine in their lives, which is something I think a lot of people are struggling with right now, not having that routine. So yeah, all the teachers out there, keep up the good work, and I'm really appreciative of all the efforts you're making during this time, as well as obviously anyone that works in the hospitals, whether they be nurses, whether they be doctors, whether they be students, whether they be caretakers, cleaners, everybody who's involved in this process of helping out and trying to get everybody through this. Yeah, a massive, massive thank you to you guys. Okay, for those of you writing, we're about halfway through. You have about 2 minutes left. Yeah, something I've learned about teaching online is that you can come to school wearing like your around the house joggers, because you're sitting down in a chair, you know, no one can see your bottom half, so you don't have to worry about, you know, putting makeup on or you know, wearing like smart clothes. So it's been quite interesting actually to be able to work and live in the same space. It's something that I'm not quite sure how I'll adjust afterwards going back to work. But I'm really thankful because I've gained 40 minutes in the commute Monday to Thursday. So that's a whole 160 minutes. So that's what, about 4 hours thereabouts. Connor, 180 minutes, roughly how long 160 minutes, sorry, is roughly how long. Oh, I think my maths has got steadily worse since school. Yeah, about 3 hours thereabouts. So I've gained about 3 hours a week, which I am channeling into writing, which is very, very exciting, because normally I don't have any time really to write. So yeah, something good is coming out of this. Okay, final few seconds. Okay, thank you everyone for joining in with the first activity. Thank you everyone for writing the first, for doing the first activity. Our activity 2 is going to be a letter. Again, this is a free write practice. It's to do with the stream of consciousness. So I would just like you to keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And I'm going to set an alarm for every 1.5 minutes. And the reason for that is if you find that you're stuck for ideas, or you're not sure what to write, I will give you a word prompt every 1.5 minutes. Feel free to use them, feel free to disregard them. I don't mind. If you feel like you need them, use them. If you don't want to use them, that's perfectly fine. So I'd like you to think of a person who is important to you, who you'd like to write a letter to, or someone that you feel you've got a lot to say, someone you feel like you need to talk to. And we're going to address our letter to that person. So for example, when I did this activity, I actually wrote to my past self, which is totally fine too. Or you can write to someone imaginary, someone real, someone famous, your mum, your dad, your boyfriend, your neighbor, anybody. Okay. So our free write is, I just like you to start talking to that person. I've got something important I need to tell you. Okay, we're going to have 15 minutes to write, and every 1.5 minutes I will give you a word prompt to help you if you need it. I'm just going to wait until it gets to 35 past so we can start at a time that's not going to confuse me with the timings. So we've got about a minute. I'd like you to just have a think, rifle through your memories, see what comes up, see what stands out to you, see where that memory takes you. Is there someone in that memory that's upset you? Did you have a breakup, or did you have an end of a friendship and you don't have closure and there's something you'd like to say to that person? Is there some advice you'd like to give to your past self? Is there some advice you'd like to give to your future self? Is there advice you'd like to give to future children, future friends, future boyfriends, girlfriends, anything like that? So just going to wait a few more seconds till it gets to 35 past, and then we will have 15 minutes to do our free write. Okay, your time starts now. Feel free to not use the prompts. For example, when I did this activity, one of the prompts was peanut from Rupi Kaur's workshop, and I didn't really want to include it because it wasn't fitting with what I was saying at the time. So I disregarded it. So please feel free to take as much or as little as you want. Okay, so your first prompt is sleep. Sleep is your first prompt. Okay, and your next word, should you want to use it, is river. River. I'm not sure how well I pronounce that. So river, like the body of water that flows. Okay, and your next prompt is, if you need it, jacket. Jacket. Okay, and your next prompt, should you feel you need it, is mirror, mirror. Okay, we have about 15 seconds left, and then I will do your next prompt. And we will reach our halfway point, about halfway through the exercise. Okay, and your fifth prompt, should you need it, is candle, candle. Feel free to message at any point if you didn't hear the prompt, and I will type it for you. I will also include a list afterwards for any of the prompts if you would like to follow this at home and you maybe haven't heard me well. Okay, and your your sixth prompt, should you need it, your sixth prompt is photo, photo. Okay, and your next prompt is clock. Clock. Almost there. We're 2/3 of the way through. We've got 2 more prompts to go, and then we'll have a little break. Let your mind just take you wherever it wants to take you. Anything that comes up, don't worry about editing it as you write. Don't worry if you think it sounds silly. Just anything that's relevant, just write it out. It's meant to be a relaxing exercise. Try not to get too worried about it, to worry about what you're writing. Just write what you feel you want to write. Give 15 more seconds. Okay, and your next prompt is yellow. Yellow, like the colour, yellow. Okay, 30 more seconds. Okay, so we're on to our last prompt. Feel free to use it. You totally don't have to. Your last prompt is day. Day. And before I start the timer, this is our last 1.5 minutes. So try and come to a conclusion. Try to wrap up. Try to find some kind of solution to what's happening in your letter. Okay, your last 1.5 minutes starts now. I hope wherever you are, you're having more access to sun than I am. Our house is ridiculously dark. So wherever you are, I hope you're getting at least some sun exposure, and sort of, you know, taking care of yourself in this difficult time. I did my first online exercise class yesterday. It was almost an hour of pretty intensive exercise. And yeah, now my legs are absolutely killing me, but it was really good to see everybody. Yeah, sure. Okay, and that timer marks the end of activity 2, which was practicing doing a free write. So I hope wherever you got to with your letter, I hope you managed to come to some kind of conclusion. To make things a little lighter, our next activity is going to be a very short one. There's not a lot of thought that needs to go into it. It's just write what you see. So with that in mind, the activity 3 is writing a haiku. We're going to go for the 5 lines, then 7 lines, 5 syllables, then 7 syllables, then 5 syllables. And I would like you to look at wherever you are, in your bedroom, in your living room, whichever room you find yourself in. I would like you to look around you, and I would like you to write down 3 nouns, 3 everyday objects that you can see. So for example, mine might be cupboard, another of mine might be candle, and another of mine might be cactus, because I have a little cactus here. Okay, and what I would like you to do, please, with those 3 nouns is we're going to have 15 minutes. We're going to have about 5 minutes per noun. I'm going to just set the timer now to 5 minutes. And I would like you to write a haiku for each of those nouns. So 3 lines, you've got 5 syllables in your first line, and then you'll have 7 syllables in your second line, and then 5 syllables in your third line. 5 minutes to write about each noun, 15 minutes altogether. And your first 5 minutes starts now. The whole idea of this haiku, if you can, is we're going to practice personification. So we're going to try and give emotions and feelings to these nouns. So maybe you can talk about what their purpose is, how they're feeling, what they like to do. Do they feel like they fit in with the other? So for example, does your cupboard fit in with the other cupboards around it, or does it feel different? Does it feel anxious? Does it feel sad? Does it feel happy? Is it scared? And why is it scared? Why is it happy? Okay, so this is to practice personification. Okay, so try and make your nouns come alive. Okay, so you're about halfway through. We have 2 minutes left to finish writing about our first noun. About 2 minutes left. Okay, we have our final minute now, our final minute of writing about our first noun. Okay, your final 10 seconds. Okay, so that's the timer for the first noun. I'd like you to move on to your second noun, please. We're going to have 5 minutes to write a personification haiku about your second noun. Okay, your time starts now. Okay, so we're about to reach our halfway mark. We have about 2.5 minutes left to finish writing our haiku about this noun. Okay, we have about 1.5 minutes left. 1.5 minutes to finish talking about your second noun. I found when I did this activity the first time, we weren't writing haikus, but we were writing personification poems. And I wrote a lot of interesting things that I didn't think I'd write about a book. So I found this a really great way of trying to bring to life words that you might not necessarily think to be the sort of things that feature in poems, but you don't necessarily think about being the sort of center focus of a poem. And so I think that's really interesting to explore. So I hope you're also enjoying this activity. I was thinking about which activities to choose, and I wanted to do a variety, and I also wanted to do ones that I found really therapeutic and really relaxing. So I hope you are enjoying these activities as much as I did. Coming into our final 10 seconds. Okay, so for those of you that have just joined us, we are writing haikus about different household nouns that you can see around you, doing the standard 5 syllables, then 7 syllables and 5 syllables. And we are on to our third noun. So you have 5 minutes to start writing about your third noun. Okay, 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, we're in our halfway through. We're in our final 2.5 minutes now for this activity. 2.5 minutes to finish writing your haiku about your third noun, and also to have a little read through what you've written so far for this activity. Okay, we have about 1.5 minutes left. 1.5 minutes. Okay, so that is the timer for the end of this session. So if you can come to a natural stop, a natural pause, at about a minute just to finish up the loose ends, and then we have one more activity for this session. This next activity will be the longest activity we're going to do in one whole time slot. So this is the list practice. I read a poem earlier that I had done in a workshop that I did at the Arvon retreat that I was lucky enough to do in collaboration with Apples and Snakes a few weeks ago. And this is to practice imagery. Okay, so I'd like you to choose a topic for your list. For example, I chose to write about love, and I want you to look, so to choose your topic, I'd like you to look at what you've written so far for the first 3 activities and see if there's any themes or any topics that particularly stand out to you. So maybe you notice you've written about loss, or maybe you've written a lot about Beyblades, or maybe you've written a lot about birds. I don't know, but whatever you feel like you've written about the most, whatever you feel has come up the most in these last activities is the theme or the motif I would like you to use for this final activity. And so for this final activity, I'd like you to write a list poem, please. We will write a list poem of 10 lines. We will have 15 minutes to do this activity. So I'm going to do a timer for 10 minutes. So you're looking at writing about 1 line per minute, just a free write, wherever your mind takes you. And then 5 minutes to edit, not really edit, but just look at the lines, and maybe you didn't quite get a chance to finish a line or something like that, just 5 minutes to tidy everything up at the end. Okay, this is to practice your metaphors and similes. So without telling me or without telling us what the theme or the topic is, you want to make it quite difficult to guess. Okay, so it's to practice metaphors and similes. Okay, so trying to be as abstract as possible. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes till we get to 15 minutes past, to give you a couple of minutes to think about ideas, to look at your most prevalent motif or theme in your activities so far. And you know, it doesn't have to be something abstract. Maybe chairs came up a lot and you want to write about chairs, so it doesn't have to be an abstract noun. It can totally be a concrete noun, but we're looking to describe this noun in different ways, describe this feeling, describe this theme in different ways without using the word. So we mustn't use the word. So if you're writing about love, we won't be using the word love in the poem. We actually read a very interesting poem by Simon Armitage about Ted Hughes during the writing retreat, and this is what has inspired this exercise, because it was really interesting, some of the really extreme metaphors and similes that the poet used to write about Ted Hughes. Okay, so when it gets to 1:15, for about 30 seconds, I'm going to start a 10-minute timer, 10 lines, about a minute per line, to write about abstractly about the theme or the motif that came up the most for you during this session so far. Okay. Last few seconds to think about what you're going to write about for this activity until we get to 1:15. And the time now is 1:15. You have 10 minutes to write your 10-line poem. So what can I say? A story about something that has been really interesting this week. So within my adult class, our theme, our topic of this unit that we were doing in our course books, textbooks, has been perspectives. So that means we've had lots of different art pieces. We've been talking about what they think about graffiti, all this kind of stuff. And it's been a unit that I've really, really enjoyed. So what we've been doing is each class, we've been doing a bit of a discussion. So they've been finding different poets, they've been finding Spanish poetry that they've been translating into English and then explaining it to the class. They've found Anglophone artists where they've been finding information about them and sharing their paintings and stuff like that. And it's been so nice to be able to bring sort of art and poetry into learning English as a second language. And I think that's what I found most enjoyable about teaching online, is the ability to just share so many different wonderful websites and to, you know, share videos, share games. It's made, in a way, the lessons more exciting because you have the possibility you can engage in this way. And yeah, I must say, trying to do sort of a bit of drama with 10-year-olds via Zoom is definitely an experience. It's definitely an experience, and it was definitely a lot of fun. So yeah, I hope wherever you are trying to get involved in your community as much as possible. This is what I'm really liking about something as sort of dangerous and scary as the time in which we're currently living, is the community spirit. And for that, it's something I'm very, very thankful for. Okay, so we've reached our halfway mark. For those of you still writing, we have about 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left to finish your list poem. Trying to be as abstract as possible. For those of you that are joining us later, my name is Laura Kestrel. I'm a writer and artist from Cornwall, England, originally. I'm currently living in Andalusia in Spain, where I'm working as an English as a second language teacher. We've recently, this last 2 weeks, have been taking our classes online. And when I'm not teaching English, you can find me drawing, writing poetry, or attempting to garden. So we have a patio, and we have quite a few plants on our patio. And yeah, if anyone has any questions about the Spanish poetry scene, I would definitely recommend Poetry Slam in Barcelona. All of the slams are in English. And that's I've had the honour of being able to perform there both as part of the slam and as a feature. And it's a really, really beautiful atmosphere, very friendly, very family. I would also recommend Poetry and Storytelling in Barcelona. And I would also recommend Celador. So poetry and storytelling is more of an open mic, and it's in a little pub, and it's just a really nice atmosphere, really relaxed, really chill. And then you also have Celador, which is in a cellar, a really beautiful venue. And I've had the absolute honour of being a feature there as well. And it's a wonderful, wonderful event to be part of. I took a couple of friends who haven't really done much poetry before, and even they really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's a really good event to get to. There's also quite a lot happening with Madrid in their scene. the people that help run Margate Bookie, Andreas, he lives in Madrid, so he runs a similar event, similar festival there. So definitely get a chance to check that out if you're in Madrid when it happens. Hopefully, you know, this year's event will go ahead, but you know, I understand that maybe it won't, but hopefully definitely next year. Check that out. There's also a very good poetry scene in Valencia. So you have their event, which is held in an old convent church. And there's also quite a good scene in Seville. But the scene in Seville isn't bilingual, it's all in Spanish, but I've had a chance to go to a couple of the events, Sevilla Poetry Slam, and they've been really, really good. So if you want to try your hand at listening or performing Spanish poetry, I really enjoyed that night. And some of you might know Joelle Taylor, amazing poet. She actually performed recently at Cosmopoetica, which is a poetry festival which is held in Cordoba. And they have a different European country to be like kind of joint host. And that was last October, so October 2019. And the UK was the joint host. So that's also a really amazing festival to get a chance to check that out. So yeah, I'm Laura Kestrel, and I hope you have found these activities really enjoyable and really relaxing, and really a way to just try and write as much as possible. Yeah. Okay, so you're in the last 20 seconds. The last 20 seconds to try and come to a conclusion with your 10-line poem. Okay, so that is the end of our timer. Just before we finish off and we come back together for feedback for our group discussion, I would please we're going to have 5 minutes just so you can have a quick check through, and it's a chance to finish anything that you didn't quite get a chance to finish. Okay, so you're just going to have 5 minutes just to tie up any loose ends. Starting now. Four minutes left. 4 minutes. Actually quite interesting. I was hanging out my washing yesterday and a ladybird landed on my face, and I thought that was quite a nice moment. So I'm really, you know, after being stuck inside and only allowed out once a week, after being like this for about two and a bit weeks, I'm really, you know, really appreciating the little things that I get that get to remind me that there is still life out there, there are still wildlife, there are still animals and plants, and how exciting it's going to be when I can finally get back to how when everyone can finally get back to normal life. And my Italian housemate actually told me in Italy, if a ladybird lands on you, you actually get good luck. So fingers crossed that will pan out. Okay, so we've got 2.5 minutes left. We're at our halfway mark now. 2.5 minutes left just to finish up everything that you've been doing today. Okay, you're in your final 2 minutes. Final 2 minutes. Okay, so you're in your final minute. We're in your final minute now, just to have a quick read through and any words that you want to add. Just finish off any loose ends. Final minute. Okay, last 20 seconds. Last 10 seconds. Okay. So hopefully you've come to a conclusion, and we're going to open up the floor very soon to have a little discussion with some of the people that have taken part with this online Zoom. Okay, just waiting to set everything up. I'll be with you shortly. Hello, Alex. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Okay. We're just going to have a quick sort of Q&A to finish off the session. How did you find the activities?
I thought they were great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've managed to write quite a few things, so it's very helpful in terms of creativity. So yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm really no problem. I'm really happy. And was there an activity that particularly stood out to you that you particularly enjoyed?
I like the letter prompt one because I did the letter activity, but then with one of your prompts, the photo prompt you used, I decided to use that and write a poem about a photo. So it sort of did two things in one activity. So I enjoyed that one most. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. I have to admit, writing the letter, I didn't realise what was going to come up. And then I wrote it. And then I looked back on it and I was really like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said all that stuff. I didn't even know I had that stuff to say. But yeah, so Alex, is there anything that you'd like to read to us? We know that it's a first draft, don't worry. All the poems that I've read in this session have also been first drafts that I haven't edited yet. So if you don't want to read, that's totally fine. But if you wouldn't mind reading, that would be awesome if you fancy it. Would you like to read?
Yeah, cool. So I'll do the graduation photo one that I did just now.
Okay, and just to clarify, this was for the activity 2, the letter, yes?
It was the letter activity, yes. And
Brilliant.
this was not the letter, but this come from that activity. But
okay, brilliant. So Alex is going to read for us his first draft of a poem he wrote about his graduation photo, which was inspired by the activity 2 we did, which was a free writing practice. Okay, Alex, the floor is yours. Take it away.
For all your years of work, 2 photos are lying on the wall as a visual memory. Cloaked in a gown that cascades across the body, you stand proud of what you've done. Clutching the paper all those that study aim for, it feels unreal. But you're there, with a mortarboard on your head and a story to tell for those who gather to view it. That's it, that's the point.
Oh, honestly, Alex, that was beautiful. That was really beautiful. I'm actually a little bit jealous that you managed to write that in like 15 minutes. So Ben, no worries. So Ben, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Ben? Ben, can you hear us? Okay, excellent. So Ben, would you mind telling us, was there any activity that you particularly enjoyed during that workshop session?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank goodness, okay. I would say probably the character poetry in the beginning part I quite like, because I just like talk about people, like, you know, the characters, like, you know, I kind of idolize in my own way, so I like to try, you know, explore about like why I like them, you know, to the level I give them to.
Okay, and was there anything that stood out for you the most about the workshop? Were there any, what was the main theme that came up for you during the workshop today?
I think that ties into like the list poem I did in the end. Sort of like, I think sort of like everything I wrote here all has this one underlying theme. Like some might be more subtle, some might be more obvious, but it all kind of connects into that one thing about like some, you know, being freely with oneself.
That sounds like a really, really interesting topic to explore. So I really hope that you will share some of your work on Facebook. And if you do, if you can share it with the hashtag WinchesterFest, so anyone that searches the festival can find it, that would be really, really awesome. Would you like to read at all, Ben?
Yeah, I'll give one. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish it properly, but I mean it's quite a short one.
Okay, so which activity would you like to read from?
I'd like to read from the character poem.
Okay, excellent. So that was activity 1, yes, the dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now we have Ben. He's going to be reading a poem that he wrote that's based on writing a dramatic poem where you explore different characters and their feelings on a certain situation. And that was our activity 1. So Ben, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Okay, get ready to be disappointed.
No, don't be silly.
All right, thank you, Laura. Okay, here we go. The Lizard King himself, from his body and his soul, he opened the doors to the whole universe to see what he sees. The Lizard King encourages humans to break on through to the other side. Even though people are strange, he still shared his mojo to the world. Everyone around him made him earn the name Mr. Mojo, and the name he keeps himself to tell. Gotta keep on rising. That was it.
Brilliant. Well, it sounds great so far, and I really hope that you continue practicing this type of poem if you really enjoy it, because I really enjoyed what you've written so far. So yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's taken part in this workshop, everyone who's seen the Facebook video, everyone who will watch the Facebook video later. I've been Laura Kestrel. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Laura Kestrel Poet. Give me a follow, give me a like. I want to do the same for you guys. Let's help keep our artist community as big as we can, because you know, during this time, it's the artwork and the poems and the stories and the films that will help get us through. A massive shout out to Connor Sansby, the host in this event, for doing all the technical stuff that I don't really know how to do. So massive thank you to Connor Sansby. A massive thank you also to Alex Vellis, because he did all the graphics. So you can find him on Facebook, Alexander Vellis, poet. And massive shout out to Whisky Beards. Whisky Beards are an independent and fabulous publisher, and they have been hosting WinchesterFest, this online literature festival that I'm really glad to be a part of. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has made this happen and continues to make this happen. And yeah, I've been your host, Laura Kestrel. I hope you've enjoyed this workshop. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves and take care.